Good evening, and thanks for joining tonight's TI Technology webinar hosted by Texas Instruments, where tonight we're excited that you are going to either be there or be squared. And we're going to focus on quadratic lessons using TI-Nspire technology. My name is Mike Houston, and I'm the moderator for this event. I teach algebra and calculus near Pittsburgh, where I use TI technology to make those tough to teach, tough to learn concepts accessible to all my students. And I'm really excited to be joined by two newer-ish instructors, Patrick Mosley and Daniela Palmer. They're going to introduce themselves a little bit more here in a minute, as well as talk about the agenda and the expected outcomes. But before I release things over to Daniela, I just want to mention that tonight we are going to be using the chat window to send general messages. If you have any questions for Patrick or Daniela along the way, feel free to use that Q&A window on the right side of your screen. As a reminder, this session is being recorded, and we'll provide a link to the event certificate of attendance at the conclusion of the webinar. All right, Daniela, it is all yours.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I have my pal here, Patrick. Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining me as well and letting me be part of this experience with you. Let me go ahead and get started with everyone. All right, guys. So be there or be squared, quadratic lessons using TI-Nspire CX technology. And you have me, Ms. Daniela Palmer, and Mr. Patrick Mosley guiding you today. I'll let Mr. Patrick talk about himself a little bit. Go ahead, Mr. Patrick.
Hey guys, thank you again for joining us. I'm from Odessa, Texas. I see all you guys shouting out where you're from. That's awesome. A lot of places I haven't been to, some places I've passed through. Like I've been through Alabama and Oklahoma. I've never been to Oregon. But anyways, married for 21 years. You can see from my picture there, I have two beautiful daughters. I love movies. As a matter of fact, I can't wait for the Thanksgiving break because I get to watch a whole bunch of movies. I've been teaching math for 20 years, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Pre-Cal, some of the remedial classes. So I've been all over the place with math. As a matter of fact, the first time I picked up a TI-Nspire was back in 2011. And frankly, I haven't put it down since. And I have been a TQ'd regional instructor for a few years now, and it's been a great experience. I hope you guys enjoy the session with us today.
Awesome. And so a little bit about myself. I've been married for 17 years, and God bless this man right here because he has a lot of patience. And I always tell him that the gates of heaven are just going to open for him for putting up with me. We do have 4 beautiful children. I'm obsessed about my kids. I am that mom, right? I love soccer, and I am totally a believer. Through his spirit, everything is possible. And then, of course, I've been an educator for 14 years. And I remember that time, you know, when you go to training and it's your first year and they make you stand up. Well, how many of you have been teaching for 1 year? I remember standing up and then they kept on going. Well, who's been teaching for 20 years? I'm like, man, am I really going to make it? Wow. And here I am 14 years later. I love it. I love this profession. I love being with kids. I love being with teachers. It's special, you know, and it's one of those professions that you can never turn it off. And we go home and we care about kids. And that bottom line is we care about kids. I've been involved with TI-Nspire since 2020, officially an instructor. But I remember the first time I saw that handheld, and I can't stop using it either. I'm obsessed with those TI-Nspires. Go ahead, Patrick, if you want to let him know about our expectations for today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So at the end of the session, you should be able to say these two things out loud. I can explore a TI education website for resources, and I can enhance my lessons with the TI-Nspire built-in tools that we're going to show you tonight.
Awesome. So our agenda for today, we already went through our little introductions. We're going to start with maximizing area by garden activity. We're going to talk about parabolic paths and activity, quadratic functions, and stopping distance. TI-Nspire CX II demo using sliders, and maybe some polynomial tools as well. And we'll end the session with some Q&A. Again, if you guys have any questions throughout the PD, please use the chat. I know that we'll be working the chat and getting to you as soon as we can. All right, so we want to make sure we know who we have. I know that we've kind of talked about it. We had a poll earlier on, but in the chat, if you guys can go ahead and tell us how many years of education you have.
A couple of
What is it
20
looking like,
years.
Patrick?
36. Wow, Ronnie.
Ooh, ooh.
31,
40
17,
plus,
18.
God bless you, 40
Wow,
plus.
Corey.
52.
Wow.
Guys, this 90-year rule that I'm in, I don't know, but you guys are giving me hope and faith.
Yeah, 29, 37. A lot of
Totally
experience
awesome.
in this webinar tonight.
We have over 1,000
32,
years of
33.
experience right here, huh?
Awesome.
Hey guys, thank you so much for your service. I'm in awe to be in your presence, really.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead,
David.
Patrick, this one.
53 years. Wow. Okay.
The next question, Mr. Patrick.
Oh, yes. How familiar are you with our TI-Nspire handhelds? So we just put A, B, C, D, or E. A, 0 experience. B, I've seen them in a room somewhere in the building. C, I can't get by, or I can get by. D, I've taught my students how to pass a test. E, I can get advanced PD.
So that B statement, I've seen them in a room somewhere in the building. That was me. I remember I had them in the building. They were there. I was told, don't touch them. You don't know how to use them yet. And so I had to use the older version, but I really wanted to get my hands on those handhelds. So overall, what does it look like, Patrick?
Oh, we have a pretty good variety. Lots of C's, a few D's, a couple of E's in there. So a couple of A's too. So it looks like a good variety of viewers here tonight.
Cool. Next question. How familiar are you with the TI-Nspire software? So some of us have the handhelds, right? I love the handhelds. I love touching them and using them. But when we had COVID, then we had to change over to the TI-Nspire. And we were blessed here at Socorro ISD that we were able to purchase the software for our students and our teachers. So even though they didn't have it with them, they were able to use it when we were virtual learning. So, ooh, I see some E's here too.
Yes, ma'am.
Overall, what does it
Very
look like,
good.
Patrick?
So again, a pretty good mix from C to E is where we're looking at.
Cool. Okay, go ahead,
A
Patrick.
few
Next
B's in
question.
there. Okay. Let's get to know you guys some more here. How familiar are you with the TI-Nspire Classroom Activities website? A, I didn't know TI offered activities. B, I've heard about the website. C, I used an activity once. D, I use their activities all the time. E, I can give advanced PD on those activities. Okay. Yeah, we're getting some pretty good variety here too. That's outstanding. Well,
I see a lot of
you
B's and
guys are gonna,
C's.
yeah, you guys are gonna enjoy tonight's webinar, I think.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this Algebra 2, Maximizing the Area by Garden Algebra 2. It is under the Algebra 2 activity, but what we talked about a lot is how can I implement that into the Algebra 1, right? Moving past that whole idea of just let's get ready for a test. It's no, the handheld and TI-Nspire is so much more than just that. I want students to be able to do more than multiply and divide on this computer, right? Because it's more like a computer. And so I use the link to get straight to this, but this is the Texas Instrument Education Technology website. And as you can see here, they have a variety of tools for us. And in activities, you'll be able to see different activities depending on the type of calculator that you have, depending on what you want to focus as well. I really like the setup of this. It'll give you the objectives. It'll give you vocabulary related activities as well. It'll give you a little video just to get you going as far as what does this PD bring into the table. It'll give you your downloads, and so you have your student activities for the students. For document purposes, you can go ahead and edit as you want. You can change the question if you don't like it. Yeah, the PDF version as well, if you like it just the way it is. Teacher notes so that you can prepare what should I anticipate as I get ready for the day for this lesson. And then more importantly, that TI-Nspire activity, TNS. So this is very important. You can share it with your students if you have the navigator and if you have the hats. I love that idea because then the students are able to see the questions and the programs there on their handhelds. But if you don't and you just have the software, then you can go ahead and post it for your students to see, ask questions like that, or you can ask the students to download it themselves if they go to this website. Anything on the chat before I open up the activity?
Pretty quiet out there. If you guys have questions, feel free to throw a question our way or two. Mike just threw out the website too. So if you guys need to catch that website where all these activities are at, make sure you check that out.
So this is what the teacher's notes look like. Again, those objectives, but I like that it gives me the tech tips that I'll be using for this activity. It's going to tell me more information about the lesson, the activity materials that I would use. And it's a really neat activity, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like on the actual software. I just wanted you to see everything that it has. So here, as you're getting ready, like I said, for lesson, if you read through this, you get a good idea of what the lesson entails, the questions. It'll give you sample answers. It'll give you little pictures of what that's going to look like on the system. Just tons and tons of things here that I really, really like. But let's go ahead and see what that TNS file looks like. So I clicked on the TNS file. Hopefully you have that software installed in your system. And I do have it just as a backup. But the system's kicking in. How many of you have had the privilege of using this activity as we wait for it to load? If you can go to the chat, how many of you have already seen this activity? No.
I have a couple of no's so far, so it might be pretty fresh for some people.
Awesome. So this is the software here, okay? You have different ways of showing your calculator, showing just the screen. If you look up here, if you're not very familiar with it, notice how I have pages up at the top. So this is page 1.1, this is page 1.2, 1.3. You, the teacher, can scroll down. The students would be able to scroll as well. So we get straight to the problem here. And I'm going to have Patrick, if you can go ahead and read the problem for us.
Sure. A garden with a rectangular shape will be attached to a barn, as shown below. 3 sides of the garden will be fenced using a total of 22 meters of fencing. Make a sketch of 5 possible gardens and record the width, length, and area of each garden.
So this is a beautiful problem. Again, it's real world, okay? It goes past that multiply, divide, add, and subtract. So students are going to do thinking, right? They're going to mathematize here versus I'm just going to use a calculator for simple computations. I love it. I am going to give you guys about how much time do you think? 2 minutes maybe? If you can think of possible widths, lengths for this garden. So remember, I have 22 meters of fencing. I have 3 sides to fence. What are the possible widths and lengths and area that I can put together? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. My 2 minutes start now. Go ahead. And you can, if you have those guys, I'm not going to make you wait those 2 minutes, okay? Go ahead and type in some of those widths and areas on the chat. Tell me what you think. I love this problem because it's going to make the kids think. You can put them in groups. Hey, with your groups, go ahead and start drawing. It's going to ask them for 5 sketches. So when they do the sketches, and guys, I was totally geeking out. I did my math. See, I love doing math. So your sketches need to be proportional. Hey, if you're telling me that the width is 2 feet and your length is 18, I better see that on the sketches that you're drawing. Maybe as you guys are doing teams, maybe one of you can give them roles like, hey, you're my sketch artist. Hey, you're finding the fencing. I want to see the formula. Hey, that third person, you're going to find the area. And I want to see dimensions, right? I want to see feet. I want to see you multiply area, length times width. So I want to see the feet times feet, and it gives me feet squared. I'm looking through all that as I'm walking through my classroom, and I'm looking at students' work. I want to see it all. And if you're telling me that the second image is 3 feet by 16, then there better be a difference between my second sketch and my first sketch, right? All that is important as a mathematician. So what kind of numbers are you getting?
All right, so far, Diana from where you're at from Diana. Sorry, Diana Losner, 6 by 10, 60 square feet. Kay Birchfield, excuse me, 5 by 12 for 60 feet. Very good. So we have a 6 by 10 and then a 5 by 12.
I'll do a 5 by 12. Oop, go back up. 5 by 12. I got a 6 by 60.
It's width and area, so we need to do 5 by 60 and then 6 by 60.
So it's 5 and 60 then, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
we have those.
There you go. That's good.
Anybody else? 4. I got a 4.
Yep. 4 by 16, and so 4 by 16, so 4 and 64.
Ooh, a 5 by 5. 5.5 by 11. Very nice. I like that one. What made you think about that? I like that you use decimals. So what you want to do is that the students organize this, right? And they have their workspace, and then you can go ahead and ask them to plug it into their own system here. And as you saw, it starts plotting them for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use some numbers that I used myself. I got a 2 and an 18. I got a 3 and a 16. I'm gonna go back up. I scroll a little bit too much. And then I got a 4 and a 14. I think I go to a 5, and I think somebody gave me this one, right? 5 and, oh, I think I'm doing, am I plugging this in right, or was I doing it wrong? What goes here? What is it asking me for? It's asking me for the area, right? So your students may do this, right? They might end up plugging things wrong. And so you have to make sure that you're walking around. Teachers, I can't emphasize how important it is that you walk around and that students are plugging in things in the right place. I'm gonna pretend like I did that on purpose, but I didn't, okay? So I'll go back and I'll put the right number. So when I put in a width of 4, and that width of 4 gave me a area of 56. That's what goes here. When I put in 3, my area was actually going to be 48. And when I put in a 2, my area was actually a 36. Okay. And then I didn't have a 1. But here, notice that it starts curving, right? So this can lead into a quadratic regression. I like that I can go to my menu button here. I can go to stats. I can go to data. I can go to insert. I can go to actions. I can go to table. I am trying to, let's see.
Statistics.
Yeah, let me go to the next page. Hold on. It's not going to do anything to me here. This slide is meant for, oh, I know why. Let me get out of here. Ooh. No, it's not letting me click out of here. Hold on. I don't want it to erase. Let's see. Help me out, Mr. Patrick. How do I get out of this page?
Just hit escape.
Escape. There it is. Thank you. On the next page, it dragged that same graph that I hit here, and it has it on this page. And this is where it's going to let me do what I'm trying to do. Huh. Let's see if I can remember. Windows actions. I am trying to find my regression. It's not letting me. I'm trying to remember, how did I do it yesterday? Feel free to jump in, Mr. Patrick, okay?
Sure. Go ahead, hit escape a couple of times there. Get back to the graph. Go back to 1.3.
Yeah, it's here.
So what you want to do is go arrow down until you're like in like 1C, like cell 1C or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep on going. Keep going down to the right. Keep going to the right. That's
More?
probably good. That's good. Now go to menu,
And it's not giving me.
statistics. So option 4, statistics.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. Stat calculations. And then we can do that
Well,
quadratic regression.
right, yeah. So it gave it to me here, and I want to go over it again so that everyone got it, because even me, I did it and I couldn't do it today. So I'm going to go back to escape. Okay. So the key here is to be on that table, be on this, I guess this cell here. Then we went to menu, we went to statistics. I didn't do it again.
You're acting like you're typing in data set. Hit escape a couple times. Two more times. Hit escape again. Okay, now try again.
So menu, statistics, that's calculations. There it is. Quadratic regression. So what do I want here? My area, my width. So it's going to give me my regression line on this side right here. It's going to tell you the numbers. And then the students have to know that they have to plug it into this equation. So it's really neat that you get into this regression idea here and that the students are able to put it in. I know that when I taught Algebra 1, I used to do a lot of linear regressions. They're problems based as well. And I like this because this kind of extends it, okay? I know that I got caught up here with some of this, I guess, inputting the information. Note that problem solve, guys. We got to make sure we problem solve. Don't give up. Make sure you're resilient through it. It's a very cool tool. I like the imaging that it has here. It does continue with a secondary problem. So you have that 2.1. And in this problem, the rectangular garden is not attached to the barn. So remember, on the first one, you had 3 sides. Well, here it's going to grow into the 4 sides, right? So it's a different type of problem. Here, it's more visual. It'll tell the student to grab the corner, to move the length and the width. As you move it, you know, there's items here that are changing with you. And so the students have to think, hey, as I am increasing the length value, what is happening to my area? As I'm decreasing my width, what's happening to the area? So it's 2 things that are changing, and it's really thinking about the mathematics behind it. Again, stepping away from multiplying and dividing. It has the table that goes with it. I love this lesson. I love that it's visual. The students get some thinking time. They go into a different way of solving the quadratic. So there's literal equations involved as well. A totally cool lesson plan. I totally like this one. I don't know if you want to add anything to it, Mr. Patrick.
No, I think you've done a pretty good bang up job on that.
Thank you. I tried, even with those little mishaps. Again, don't let the mishaps get you guys. Keep moving with it and practice. Tons and tons of practice. Hang out with people with Patrick that can help you get through it when you do get stuck. And then I'll go ahead and let you go to the next part, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those side by sides too, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so the next activity we're going to talk about is this one. It's called parabolic paths. So same thing, you can click on the link here and it takes you to the website, but I really don't want to get too involved with that. So hang on a second here. I didn't want to get too carried away with that. All right, so close that out. So what I like to share though is get more involved with the activity itself. So parabolic paths, again, you download it, you get that nice zip file, unzip it, and then you can start working with it. So another great activity that TI-Nspire that you can download to your Inspires. I'm going to show you guys a few other things that you can kind of do with this as well. So we have the activity, you send it out to your students. We have the teacher document that Daniela has gone over. You know, the objectives, the tech tips. Nice thing also about this, it's actually your answer key too. So to kind of give you an example of what we're looking at. All right, so here is what the students would get. If you were to print out the worksheets, give them the worksheets. Actual instructions, move to page 1.2. So they would go to their calculator, they move to 1.2. Following the directions, what is the effect of changing the value of h? They go back, they change the value of h. Oh, as I move it out, the slider here, we're throwing this object further out. So you get that nice visual. This guy, he's throwing his ball, looks like his little pet there, his dog. And we get a nice little example there. So hopefully the students can write that out. Nice little tool there that they can write. Next was the effect of changing the value of k. So again, we're just going through this activity, but you know, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to have the students actually type in their answers. So just out of curiosity, do you guys work with the navigators? Because if you do, this would be a beautiful opportunity to use the navigators. So give you an example here. So we're on 1.2. Once you download this file, it's yours. You can do whatever you want to with it. You can change it to fit your needs. So what I'm going to do is, you know, instead of having the students maybe have that worksheet, maybe you are working in a more digital environment. Maybe it's a tech day, and you don't want to have that burden of having the paper there. Maybe your copier is broken, and you can't make copies, and so you're just kind of stuck. So let's do this. We're going to add a question. And again, this is great if you have those navigators. So quick explanation. It's going to add that in here. And I can just type that in. Or better yet, instead of wasting my time typing, again, beautiful thing for having a Word document. I can literally copy this right into my my question here. Oops, I did it twice. And then now I have this built-in tool that I can send out to my students and build these questions right in. Now, another thing is that there's 2 pages. Most of these student activities, they're about 2 pages in length. You know, you can go through these activities, you can pick and choose. Another thing I like to do is I will actually have those tech tools side by side as I'm going through the worksheet. Oops, wrong button. Had it open. Anyways, you can have it right next to it, and pretty much let's back up. Give you an example here what I'm talking about.
And as you're doing that, what we did once at the high school I was at, we actually took turns and we created files like that the way you were doing it, and we made it into an escape room. So it was
Right.
really neat what he's doing. We got questions like that. We threw it into a you know, a different mode of the students using it, and it was an escape room, and it was really neat. But it was using the TI-Nspires and questions like that through the navigator.
So So here's an example I was trying to find. Okay, so on question number 9, it throws out this equation here. So maybe you want to give this equation to. So you can go in and maybe you want to add a hint. You can add that equation in there. That kind of help them out a little bit. Okay, so that equation there, that's to help them find the vertex, right? So they plug that in to find the x-coordinate of the vertex. So maybe that's something they need. So now I just modified not only the worksheet, I modified my TNS document. So now I have this beautiful lesson I can send out to my students. So again, if you guys have those navigators, this would be a great opportunity to dig those out, attach them to your calculators, and start practicing with them. Another beautiful thing with navigators, just kind of touching on Daniela's presentation earlier, what I like to do when I send out assignments to students with the navigators, I love to screen capture their stuff. And you can actually capture, I don't have it turned on, so you're not going to see it, but it'll actually show up with every single screen of every single student's calculators. So you get this nice little wallpaper of what's going on their screens. You can see who's working, who's not working. You can see if they're messing up on the area or on any of these activities as you're going through. Are they just not getting, how to move the sliders? And they can say, hey, excuse me, mister, I need to adjust my sliders. I'm having a hard time grabbing them. And that's sometimes a challenge right there. Once they figure that out, though, it's pretty much downhill after that. So um, let's see.
Well, and with that, you could also get a class view. So if you see something really neat and you want to highlight it for the rest of the class to see, then you pick that screen, that calculator, and you show it off, right? Giving students immediate feedback, giving them positive reinforcement. I just love it. So let me throw that question into the chat then. So how many of you are familiar with the Navigator and have it at your campus? Those of you who are not familiar with, I'm telling you, you're missing out on these cool things that the Navigator can offer you. And the more you embed these, the more you play with them, it's just one of those things that you can naturally embed into your curriculum. It's just secondhand to it. I know that in science, we have a very good instructor that uses just on the daily. I'll get her information too, so I can give her a shout out and you guys can follow, because the more you use it, the more you're able to embed into your daily activity.
Yeah, I love my navigators. It's almost like the two things were meant to be with for each other. It's really an amazing thing. All right, Daniel, you want to take us to the next activity?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Go. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. So I like closing it. I don't want to save it. Well, let's talk about it. Did you guys like those first two activities? That's important to know. So in the chat, did you guys like those first two activities? What did you think? Very nice.
Yep.
And can you see yourself using these activities into your classroom?
All right. We're getting lots of yeses there, Daniela.
Cool. Okay, so this next one is quadratic functions and stopping distance. I love this activity because you guys, if you're around this age, you're more than likely learning how to drive, getting into that car. I know that I have two kids in high school and I'm teaching them how to drive. I send them to driver's ed. I'm making sure that I give them practice time. And I myself, now I'm a little more self-aware, right? Because I don't want them to see me doing things that I'm going to ask them not to do. And what's one of those important things that we don't want you to drive? What? Tell me on the chat. What is it that we don't want our students or our kids, our loved ones to be doing while they're driving? Hit me on the chat, guys. What is that one thing we don't want to see our kids doing? Texting, distracted, texting. Yes, keep going.
Yep, texting,
We
distracted
don't,
driving.
right? But hey, guys, if we don't want our students, our kids to do it, then we can't be doing it when we're driving either, right? And so this activity is really nice because it's going to be that engager. I would show a video, something that's really going to hook them. Hey, guys, don't drink and drive, right? That's important, but don't drive distracted. Be careful when the weather is not appropriate. All those things are real world. They're relevant to your students at this age. And hopefully because of this activity, they'll be more aware and they'll be less likely to do something. But let me highlight this video as well, because I want you to see how they're going to start preparing you. So it's going to take you through the whole thing of what you're doing on this activity. Some regressions here as well. So they give you data, it's plots. Students have to go through this process to get to the regression. What am I looking at? Well, I'm still in the quadratic world, so very important. And it's going to give you sliders as well. Students are going to be able to pinch that point, move it, but very important for them to see that vocabulary that's there, that sentence, that writing. Guys, I'm a big believer in writing in the math classroom. It helps the students capture what it is that you're saying. Many times we give students lots of things to do, lots of math to do, but we never give them that time to digest, to really process, and more important, to write it. Right? What is it that I just told you? What is it that you are understanding? And I think this is activity is perfect for that. I'm going to go ahead and download that TNS file as well. So when you click here, if you have a TI-Nspire, like I said, it'll open up. Mine automatically opens to that CX I know that I have both softwares, but it'll open there. You get the same thing, Patrick, when you do
Yeah,
it?
you just have to make your preference for the other one if it's the other one.
And I
It's a
believe the
little
new
more
cast,
in-depth
I
Microsoft
think the older
procedures.
cast, right, you weren't able to like, I guess, freeze or not allow students to use the cast, but the new cast, I think you're able to get that button where it's like, okay, disable cast for us so that you don't have to worry about students having it available during testing when they can't use it. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this. My computer's thinking about life. Here it is. Again, this is part of the software. If you had the the Navigator system, you can share this file. You can send it to your class so the students have their handhelds, and this is what they'll see in their own handheld, okay? So we have quadratic functions and stopping distance. Utilize data about stopping distance versus speed to generate a regression equation. Use the regression equations to see the effect of speed while driving under various conditions. Very real world. So the spreadsheet on the next page displays the number of meters it takes to stop a vehicle at a given speed in miles per hour under various conditions. The distance to stop includes the braking distance and the reaction distance. So the driving conditions include, so they're going to give them data for normal conditions, and then they're going to get while using a cell phone and driving in wet weather. So here the data is given to them. We have speed, we have the normal, the phone, and the weather. Then 1.4 tells them on the next 3 data and statistic pages, create scatter plots, stopping time under normal conditions versus speed. So, and then it's going to do it for cell phone and wet weather. It's going to ask them to do a regression. Again, totally TIC related here in the state of Texas. And it gives them the data like this. So they would come here and, well, what is our independent variable and what is our dependent variable, right? So we need to make sure that they're able to move the pieces. And I love this. This is one of my favorite visuals, I think, because I get to see movement and it's exciting to see movement. Well, what happens if it's normal, right? Very nice. I can go, I'm gonna try my menu. my regression is here. See, that's what I was trying to do on the other one, and for whatever reason, and only Patrick knows, it didn't want to cooperate with me. But here I can go ahead and come and show me my quadratic function. So the system's going to show you what that quadratic function is, and it's very beautiful. I like that it's able to move. Thank you. So Michael went ahead and gave us the answer. Can you read what Michael put, why I couldn't do it on the other one?
Sure. Yep. You had the graph app open earlier, not the data and statistics app. Yeah,
That's
so you can't do a regression in a graph app. It has to be in the statistics and the data apps.
So very, very important. Okay, but here, as you can see, it gives me my regression. So students are able to do it for the 3 different types of conditions that we have for them. They're able to see, okay, so what happens if I have a phone, right? And I'm going to skip to this part because this is the part that I really, really like. I mean, I can have really good, rich conversations on the other one. Here, it's a little like if you need sentence starters, right? Here we have it. Like driving under normal conditions, the driving speed is 32 miles per hour. So what happens when I am driving 32 miles per hour in normal conditions? Well, the pedestrian is injured at this point in time. So now I can grab it, and I love this. Well, what happens if I'm driving 8 miles per hour? Well, if you're driving 8 miles per hour, the car stops before you hit the pedestrian. And so I can talk about the different things that are happening, and I just really want you to notice how the screen is going to change. What happened there? So I can ask the students, hey students, tell me what you notice happen here. So guys in the chat, tell me, type it in. What is happening at this point in time? Go ahead and go to the chat, guys. Tell me. So I have, you can bring a regression curve to the scatter plot on the screen. It's not just intuitive data. So I totally love this. You know, if I keep on moving, what do you notice happened? Pedestrian is seriously injured, right? And this is important to know. So I'm going to go to this next one. Well, now I'm using a cell phone. Hey, I'm at this point, pedestrian is seriously injured already, but if it was normal, I hadn't hit him now. So what happens over here? This whole time, see, the pedestrian gets injured earlier because I am driving distracted. So very important, very cool. And here's wet weather, and it's same idea. I don't know if you want to add anything else to this, Patrick.
Yeah, just maybe you can have this for your kids when you're preparing them to drive yourself, right?
I know.
Be
Hey,
great
I'm
out
getting
for one
ready. I'm going to give
activity,
this
yeah.
lesson.
You're getting out, you have all these 15-year-olds that are 14, 15-year-olds are all anticipating driving, so this might really help that out to us. Talking about cross-curriculum type of lesson.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And that's it. That's all about this lesson, guys. But I think it's a great lesson. It's a great intro. Obviously, there's more in depth that you can go into it. Same like Patrick said, you can go in there, you can add the questions, you can edit some numbers, but it's packaged for you very nicely. It's an engager. For me, this is a way of engaging those high school students into mathematics.
So let me just kind of spin off that a little bit from what she's saying. I'm gonna still the screen here for a second. All right, so you know the website has all these great resources on here. If you notice, you know the very first one we took that right from Algebra 2, and yeah, you can apply that to an Algebra 1. So great tools, great activities. You open up these activities. We're doing quadratics. And I love that a lot of these activities they have the little videos that kind of introduce you to show you what's going on. So that's a great tool. So you're like, well, I'm not sure about this lesson. You can watch the video. It takes most of the videos are less than a minute long, so you can decide almost right away if you want that lesson in your own lessons in your own unit of activities. So let me show you guys something else though. Sometimes you just need to have that extra intro to your lesson. So I'm going to take you guys onto a different direction. Let's look at some other stuff that you can do with the Inspires. Uh, so maybe you guys know about sliders, for instance. Now, I'm not talking about the little tiny hamburgers that you eat. We're talking about things you can actually build into the calculator and not just graphing or plain old calculating. Now we're talking about making this more interactive. So for instance, it's great that I can say, oh, here's a problem to my students and graph that. And they graph it. Oh, that's great, right? But what if you want them to really explore what's going on? So this is where sliders are even more dynamic. So let's just take the standard form. Now, the thing is with sliders, they're really easy to put in, but you got to be very specific what you type into the calculator. So if you notice, I typed in a times x squared. I didn't type in ax squared. It's a times x squared. I'm telling the calculator exactly what I wanted to do, right? B times x, and then a c. I don't have to do anything with that c. So I'm just telling the calculator I'm going to have these three separate values here, a, b, and c. And it's going to ask me a question. Do you want sliders for these three variables? And of course I do. So it's going to stick them in here. It's going to give me a parabola. It's just randomly thrown on the screen. Well, not exactly randomly. All the values are started off at 1. You can move this around. You can detach them from each other and move them around. But once you have the students there, now you can now build a lesson. Okay, what exactly does the A do for your parabola? And you can have them go and manipulate that. So they create this themselves, and now they can go and manipulate. Okay, so if A is 2, oh, it's making my graph more narrower. If it's less than 0, okay, so it turns it into a line. And maybe you need to talk about that. Negative, oh, it's still making it narrow, but look at it. It made it flip over. It's going downwards instead of upwards. How about the B? And then so on and so forth. And you can manipulate these sliders some more. If you want to change these to different values, you can do that. You can go into the settings, and you can change the slider settings. Maybe you don't want them going by ones. Maybe you want them to go by decimals now. So now they can really see what's going on. Well, it's gotten a little bit wider now that it went less than 1. So all these different options here with the sliders. And if you're really trying to open up your units, have them explore these different things, maybe you don't just want standard form. So what's another form out there we can use?
Well, and see what I was going to add here is then you can do what you did on the other one where you ask a question, right? You create a question on the spot and you make them right. So as A is increasing, and just like you're saying, what is happening to the shape of my parabola? Is it flipped up? Is it flipped down? What are those questions that you want the students to tell you about, that they understand a concept, right? Not just a multiple choice question. It's more of their understanding, but it's exploring. So they're exploring mathematics using these visuals. I have here, slider provides valuable information. Yeah, these sliders can show us so much, and it's through them exploring. You're not telling them because they're exploring, and it's an easy way of getting into those transformation units. And I do have Duenas who said the vertex form. So you can definitely use the vertex form.
Right. So and maybe we want to even do some more stuff. Now, I have to be careful. So I'm putting a letter up here. Notice I've already used A, right? I used A, B, and C, so I really can't use that anymore unless I close this document out, open up a brand new one. So I'm going to change this to a D. So we're all adults here. We understand what that means, hopefully. So it's going to ask me for sliders for all those. If I put A in there, it's going to give me a little error there. So that's why I didn't put A there. So now I have my transformation form. And I can really explore, okay, so if my vertex was at -2, and maybe this is something that you might have another activity for your students, like, okay, so what quadrant would the vertex be if this happened? You can really explore what's going on with your functions.
And I know here in Texas, man, they were big on this question. And I remember not getting to it the first year I was teaching Algebra 1. I didn't get to this part of the unit. And I remember that question was there. I was like, ah. And this is easy, now that you have this tool, I could have done it. I could have shown my students how to do it without having to do 10 problems, right? You always want to get that last 10th problem. But here with this visual, man, I'm getting so many problems in one piece and in a small amount of time, and it's through their exploration of the concept.
And go ahead and go to another document here. And another thing, just even more exploration here. Maybe you want to talk about zeros or factoring. So now you can really maybe talk about some different ideas out there. I'll do I open up a new document so I can do this. So now we can talk about zeros and factoring and stuff like that. So with this set of sliders. And really discuss that in detail if you wanted to. So that's just graphing, but the Nspire does a lot more. So maybe you want to explore even more stuff beyond just graphing. Maybe now we're talking about solving equations or going back to the idea of factoring. Maybe we want to really explore those concepts. The Nspire has built-in tools for that as well. So let me demonstrate that as well. So if you, I open up a calculator page. So if I go to menu, all these different options pop up. Most of you guys expressed knowledge in this. So I'm going to choose algebra. We have numerical solve systems of linear equations, polynomial tools. So, quadratic functions, they're polynomials. So find roots, real roots, complex roots. I usually just find roots of polynomial in the first one. That's where I really introduce this concept. Right here we have a 2 for my degree, so that would be quadratic. And I always see my students do this. They start accidentally hitting the buttons, and I tell them to be careful about that. Click OK, and now we have it in standard form. So if they get a question that's not in standard form, they have to put it in standard form. So it doesn't do all the work for the student, which is good. And then we can just type in their values, see if that works, and get some answers. So a nice little tool to find some roots pretty fast. Maybe we don't want the decimals. Maybe we'd rather have fractions. So we can actually convert that. So let me back up a little bit. Sometimes I go too fast. So I went back, just in case you didn't see what I did. I copied my original question. I just arrowed up 2 times, hit enter, and I just copied. That's like a quick copy and paste for the Nspires. And then I'm going to go to menu, to number, and convert to fraction, or approximate to fraction, excuse me. And that'll give me some approximate fractions, some pretty big fractions. I just from randomly coming up with numbers. Anyway, so nice little built-in tools there that you can use to explore a lesson. So maybe if you're going through several polynomials at one time or quadratics at one time, and you really want to just get the ideas of factoring or quick factoring, that might be very helpful. Okay, so you guys have any questions for us, or?
Yes, we have come to the conclusion of our PD, and we're in the Q&A part. And I knew I forgot something, Michael. I forgot to tell them about the opportunity that one of them may win a free handheld. I forgot. I'm sorry. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for us. We had so much that we went through. It's kind of hard because we want to tell you everything, we want to show you everything, and then there's so much to go over, right?
It's really amazing. I spent a whole day doing PD, and it's like I could keep on going. You guys are very, very welcome. So again, if you guys have
Thank you
questions,
for being patient and with your grace.
yeah, thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
So if I could share something actually real quick, it was about the regression earlier.
Yes.
Give me 1 second. Let me grab control if that's okay.
Yes, of course. We just like to show our question slide because, we picked that question mark very carefully.
It was a really nice question mark.
Thank you.
So if you're on a graphs page, which is actually the page that Daniela was on earlier, it was just really, it was smaller because there was multiple windows being shown. In the graph entry edit line, you have some options there like functions, relations, etc. And one of them is scatter plot, which gets you a little bit closer to what I think you were trying to do. So like you could, if I had variables typed in here, I don't know, I think I have some preload variables from something. I don't know what it is. But I don't know, there's my data. If I wanted to do a regression, the problem with the graph application is it's not the best place to do it. So like if you were to hunt and peck over here and like Danielle was trying to do, analyze graph, it's not here because this is more graphy things to do versus if I go to a data and statistics page and then I graph something like that, which was the same scatter plot I just showed a minute ago on the graph page, right? I now can go to analyze and find my regression, right? And then voila. For the graph page, in order to get that regression line to show, you would actually have to manually type it in or have it stored somewhere. Like you could define that function and then type it in. But it's helpful to know kind of what the goal is. Excuse me. So like Danielle said, like for her Algebra 1 students, they did a lot of like scatter plots where they were just trying to find like a line of best fit. And for me personally, I love doing that with a data and statistics page, not as much with the graph page. For the graph page, I do a lot of function relation type of graphing.
And you know what? I was trying to think about how I did it because I did it yesterday. I think I was in the tables area. And then I was able to do it. I would have to play with it a little bit more to remember, but I was on that page.
If you like, again, there's places in the Inspire where if you ask it to calculate a regression, it'll actually calculate it and automatically store it and define it as M1 of X or whatever. And then I could have gone into my graph screen and changed this back to a function and then actually just typed M1 of X or whatever it defined it as, press enter, and then boom, it'll show up. So just a little difference there between the applications. That took me a long time to sort of figure out. It's definitely not something that I knew right off the bat. So
Yeah, it's not
Danielle
too
reminded me
intuitive.
that we had to pick a prize winner for tonight, and tonight's lucky winner is Diana Losner.
Yay, Diana! Where you at, Diana?
Hey, Diana.
Huge
Tell me you're
congrats,
still here
Diana.
because we lost 2, but we still got 68, Diana. Raise your hand, Diana. Where you at, Diana? You just want a calculator. Oh,
Hopefully she wasn't one of the two that hopped off. Anyway, Diana, we'll be reaching out to you soon to get some information from you and start thinking about which graphing calculator you would like to receive. To receive a certificate of attendance for tonight, you can click the link that is about to appear in the chat window. And along with that is going to be a link for the documents. Ooh, that did not come out the way I wanted it. There we go. It's a little better. Right above it is a link for the documents that were used tonight by Daniela and Patrick. And if you're watching this on demand, go ahead and copy that link into your favorite browser to receive your certificate. So that's it. Huge webinar for these two. These two are some newer instructors for us, and so I appreciate your patience with them. But they, I think, did a great job tonight. So thanks so much for sharing your expertise, Daniela and Patrick. And thanks so much everyone for joining us tonight. It was a lot of fun, and we hope to see you back online real soon.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you.